Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by a very special guest today. She's a storyteller, writer, comedian, Moth Story Slam winner. I recently saw her along with my friend Paul at an LA library event about public transportation, specifically buses. Kona, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Danny. Happy to be here.
It's been really fun. We're doing our second episode with you now, so I'm really excited to, because I saw, what was this event called? Like the bus show?
Busted.
Busted. There we go.
So it's stories about public transportation specifically.
It's interesting because I just kind of got into the library and I know I'm like a little behind, but I was like, this is crazy. Why am I buying books? They're totally free at this library thing. But we had another guest on who was kind of angry about the little libraries. You didn't necessarily see eye to eye with her. And actually, there's a whole thing in the subreddit. A lot of people took it. But yeah, what was your issue with...
I love a little library.
You love a little library.
Give a book, leave a book, take a book.
Leave a book, take a book. That's what they say.
It's much better than having it end up in the bottom of some soggy Goodwill box and not... at least you see a little library, and if you're looking for a book, you can find a book there. And I found all kinds. I also disagree that it's only richy neighborhoods. I get the correlation with gentrification for sure. But there's a reclaiming, and there are different kinds of little libraries. I've seen them in South Central. I've seen little libraries.
Little libraries are not a monolith. Happy Hatchet Maker writes on our subreddit, I thought it was a way to get rid of old books. Currently, I and a group of people are stuffing them with banned books and all the LGBTQ lit. I also unload bookmarks in those too. Mm-hmm.
I've seen CDs and DVDs.
I'm not familiar with, what is that? That's a joke. That's a joke.
Blu-ray, sorry.
Blu-ray, there we go. Yeah, people here are off-put. Windy Sydney writes, the talk about the little library was off-putting. They kept saying that they only see them in high-income communities, but then I was like, they must only spend time in high-income communities. Little libraries are everywhere, and you don't have to spend $400 on an official one.
You could make one.
I guess you could.
You could just make
wooden
one.
Box.
It's just a box. A door is optional.
This might be the most. This is 18 comments, which is a lot for our subreddit. We have found the little libraries are finding support on the AITA Pod subreddit.
Good. I'm on the little library side.
I guess, it was a hot take. I thought I did like the spice of the take. So no diss to Katie. It was a spicy take. We love an interesting take. Sometimes we need a take that is hot so that we can find out the counter take might be better.
Absolutely.
But the hot take had to get us started. We had to realize a certain passion.
To swing the pendulum all the way that way so we can bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the food pantry for your mind, right? Community food pantry.
Wow, you're ready to. You should just start the PR campaign. You're fucking killing it.
Yeah. Although you don't get it. Here's the question I have about little libraries, though.
Hit me.
Is somebody had told me that I'm supposed to bring them back because they're like a library. So they're supposed to borrow them and bring them back. I don't know if it's wrong. I don't know if I'm an asshole for having taken, I found the brand new Bob Dylan autobiography, hardcover, gorgeous book. I gave it to my mother.
Well, it's take a book, leave a book. That rung with me that is sort of the little library's system.
Yeah.
So did you leave a book?
I've left multiple books at little libraries, but
that wasn't my question. See, now that was evasive there. Don't think I'm
at the same time. No, I've taken and then
I don't think that's the system.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. To counter, I think have you ever gone to a gas station? Can I use the bathroom? It's for customers only. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm a customer of Chevron. Maybe not today, maybe not now, but I've been to hundreds of Chevrons throughout my life. This stupid mid gas station. You will let me use the bathroom. So is that what you're going for when you say take a book, leave a book? It's not necessarily in one cycle.
Yeah, the same time. It's not like the Indiana Jones moment where I'm moving the sack and I have to replace it right away. Especially if it's a little library that is abundant with books.
What is abundant for a little library? Like 10 books?
Full. Depends on
how.
It also depends on how big the books are.
I guess my issue, and I think the question of little libraries is, that we are to understand that all books are fungible, which is a little hard for me, right? Are we to understand that, the Gutenberg Bible, for instance, which is a priceless historical artifact, you could leave that book and then I'm only to take one book? No, I think if I throw down a Goody, I'm taking 2 books.
There's no rules. There's no rules posted. It doesn't say leave a book, take a book.
Where did we get that? No, that must be posted.
I don't know. No, I've never seen that posted.
It's just understood.
I think it's just
floating above us.
Exactly. So I think that's probably the biggest issue. And that was my argument to my friend. It was like, what do you mean you didn't bring it back? You gave it to your mom. I drove it up north and I gave my mom this book as a present that I got from a little library. Is that wrong? And my friend was saying yes, because you're supposed to read it and bring it back. It's a library.
No, she's wrong. I'm not with that. It's the little library has different rules.
We don't have a clear, because each neighborhood, apparently it's a person can just decide to put it up in front of their house. And so they're all different. It's an anarchy right now. It's in a state of anarchy. There is no, I don't know of a manifesto that ties it all together with the specific rules. I think we're all making it up.
I mean, I think take a book, leave a book. It's there. I don't know where I've seen it, but it's ringing with me. But I am willing to kind of scoop out a little exception, a proviso for you. Take a book, leave a book, or drive it up north to your mother. I think that's reasonable.
Thank you. I did bring books back to that same little library, but it was like weeks later.
That's fine. I think it's not. I don't think it's necessarily synchronous taking and leaving. I'm willing to meet you there.
Okay.
That's the gas station customer rule.
Sure.
I think it's reasonable. You're a reasonable individual. Now, I've seen some storytelling in my days, and now comedians usually describe storytellers as unfunny comedians, which is not fair. Because you were very funny. And the show was all about buses, which is, I think, the most specific show I've ever seen. I don't know if I've seen anything that specific before.
Yeah, there's all kinds of theme shows in the storytelling world. But
it was weird, though, because I was like, oh, I want you to tell the story. And I didn't know, because I don't know, it's different. It's interesting how it is different, the storytelling. Right, because I wouldn't have a comedian on to do their material. Mm-hmm. That'd be weird. But here we are. I want you to tell your story, which happened on a bus. I'm going to give it an AITA title.
Okay.
AITA for what I did on the bus.
Yeah.
Take us away.
That sounds fair. All right. So it was day 1 on a 3-day trip across country on a Greyhound. I was with 2 of my best friends. We were going from New York to California via Chicago. And we were very, very itchy. So very itchy. Oh. My friend Carrie and I looked at our arms, and it's just like a little red rash. And we were just scratching and itching. At first, I was trying to deny it, but by the end of day 1, it was just undeniable, itchy. Our friend Charles called us stinky hippies and sat across the aisle on another seat. And we started pondering all the different things it could have been. So at the time, we were living rather crusty kind of punk lives. And there were a number of things that it could have been. It could have been the boys that we had met at CBGB's and hung out with. We were sleeping on the lawn in Central Park at the time. We were like staying up all night in St. Mark's and walking to Central Park in the mornings. One of those nights, I found this free box on the side of the road and found the greatest free box score in the history of the world. It was a Bon Jovi t-shirt that just said, "You give love a bad name" on the front, and on the back it was this epic photo of him in skin tight purple leggings with his, big cowboy boots on. And it was so fantastic that I didn't wash it. I just threw my shirt off and slipped it right on. So any number of things, or it could have been my ex-coworker who had come over to visit right before we left, this 6 foot tall gay Iranian man named Mehran, who crawled into the little
It was Iranian and his name was Iran?
Mayron.
Oh, Mayron.
Mayron,
Okay.
yeah, Iranian named Mayron.
Mayron.
I don't know where he is. It's been a long time. So if you're out there, Mayron, I'm throwing you under the bus.
He loves the pod.
And he crawled into bed with my friend Carrie and I, who were sharing a little mattress at the time. And rubbed his ankles. He said his ankles were so itchy and he was rubbing them up and down our legs, thrilled that we didn't shave, calling us spiky dykies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spiky dykies.
So there were any number of things that could have caused this itchiness. By day 2, it was unbearable. And all we wanted to do was stop at a get to a pharmacy, get some hydrocortisone cream. But there were no stops long enough for us to locate a pharmacy. So we're just like, we have to tough it out. We just have to make it
Because this was not in the
to
smartphone
Chicago.
era.
No, it was not. It was late 90s.
Late 90s.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
So there was no cell phones, no Google Maps to find the closest pharmacy. It was all just free for all. Wow. And so around day 2, we realized that the polyester material of the Greyhound buses was just the perfect relief for itching our arms and our legs. So we just started like rubbing them really hard into the seat cushions. No thought for anyone but our itchy arms. I remember looking over and seeing Charles scratch himself, and I was like, aha, whatever it was, we all had it. So, after 3 days, we get to California. Carrie and I go to the health clinic, and we find out that we very carelessly had just traversed the entire country with a raving case of scabies. Yes. Little parasitic, like skin lice. Awful. That's what it is. Terrifying to have. We had to get creams and then to get rid of them.
Lord.
And I felt awful. I felt terrible that I had just left scabies on Greyhounds for 3,000 miles. But, there's nothing I could do about it. So I just put it on the list of shitty things I did as a teenager. Moved on with my life.
Yeah.
10 years later,
It's a Greyhound. After all.
It's a Greyhound. What do you expect?
What do you expect?
You're paying? We were paying $29.99. There was a deal where it was $29.99 anywhere in the country. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a good deal. But was it worth it? So 10 years later, I moved to Denver. My new best friend, Nancy, invites me. She hooks me up with this like rent-controlled house in Wash Park. It was awesome. Invites me to join her writing group. And after our meetings, we would often go to this pub and have some drinks. One of those nights, somebody made a joke about scabies, and it turned into this conversation of like how many people had scabies and lice. And I remember being shocked at how many of us had something at some point. And then Nancy says, "Oh, I got scabies like 10 years ago from a Greyhound bus."
Uh-oh.
So I say, "Whoa,
No
wait,
way. Yeah.
stop. Do you mean exactly 10 years ago? Like 1998, 10 years ago?" And she says, "Yeah, exactly." I was like, "What month? What month 10 years ago? What month in 1998? She's like, "Let me see. It would have been the end of August." I was like, "No fucking way. No way." And she's like, What, Kona? Why does it even matter? I was like, "Oh, it matters. What route were you on that you contracted the scabies?" She's like, "I was going from Chicago to New York." I was like, "I gave you fucking scabies. I gave you scabies." We even like looked it up in our journals to confirm the dates and the places and all of that. And it's true. I gave my new best friend scabies 10 years before I had ever met her. Yes. And then she took it to a Renaissance fair in New York and gave it to countless other people.
Wow.
And we actually wrote an anthology series where hers and mine were the only true stories. And then everybody else, like somebody gets it from the Renaissance fair and they write the story. And then somebody gets it from the orgy that they were in, and so forth. But, yeah, I guess I'm proud to say I've never been such an asshole on public transportation again. And it's interesting that I'm still best friends with Carrie, Charles, and Nancy. So people you have scabies with will be friends forever.
What a story. So Is scabies just itchy? Is that the whole thing?
It's awful. And you have to use a cream to get like lice.
It's making me itchy to hear
Yeah,
about
I know.
It
It made me itchy to like relive this and write it. I've never
Yeah.
had scabies again.
Yeah.
But it was an uncomfortable
This
thing
is
to
uncomfortable, though.
revisit. What?
It is not a progressive illness. It's
It's
itchy.
just bugs. It's
bugs.
parasites.
Little parasites.
That live under your skin.
Yeah.
And they make little red bumps. And you need a cream to
kill 'em.
suffocate and kill them.
Yeah.
The same as lice.
Wow.
Yeah. And but you definitely can leave them in seat cushions if you rub them all over. So am I an asshole?
I think, look, you were a crusty punk, and I can almost ding you for that because, you smelled. I honestly ready to ding you for smelling before I am the scabies, because were you a stinky girl on a bus?
I think that I was always somewhat hygienic. I had a very OCD mother, so I think I just let the pendulum swing pretty far in the other way, but I was still doing the like bathroom, washcloth clean. I'd like to say that I always smelled like flowers.
Flowers. I think you probably stunk a
like
little.
skunk weed, probably.
Skunky.
Skunky bud.
I kind of ready to give you a pass on the scabies. You didn't know. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't really know what scabies was. I looked it up after I saw you at the show, and I was like, "The fuck is scabies?"
Gnarly.
You didn't know. You had no way to solve it. What were you gonna do? Be stranded?
Yeah.
So you were in a bad situation, and you itch yourself on the one thing you could. I'm kind of ready to give you a pass.
Wow, I think it's very generous of you. I don't think I'm going to give myself a pass on this.
You think it's so? What? Well, okay. What could you have done if you were a better person?
I think if I had been more mindful at the time, I mean, we could have. Yeah, we would have been stranded, right? Like if we would have been like, this could be contagious. Why we didn't have money to go like stay in a hotel until it passed and figured it out.
You're on a Greyhound. You're at the bottom.
Yeah, and there's no Google Maps. So how are you going to live without fucking Google Maps?
I'm kind of like, how would I punish someone who spread scabies? I'd be like, why don't you take a cross-country Greyhound trip? That's the punishment. I feel like you did your penance, Well,
I appreciate that.
Now, nowadays, I would say there's measures that can be taken, and I would say it's on Greyhounds to deal with something bizarre like this that might happen.
Yeah, they should have cleaned them, probably.
Well, I mean, I will say I don't think any kind of crusty punks should be allowed on a bus.
There you go.
I would not let you on my bus if I was the driver.
I had little spikes in my hair, pomade.
You really were like that? Were you like that?
I mean, for a little while. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I never would have called myself a punk, though.
Just the crusty.
I just like listening to punk music. I was just living the crusty life. I didn't do laundry. I stopped wearing like socks.
You're triggering me now.
Yeah, I know.
The scabies is the least scary part.
Well, this is what happens when you move out at 15, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn things like, you should do laundry more than twice a year.
Oh my God. Kona. Okay, enough. What a story though. What a tale. So you're still friends with them. That's really cool. It's unexpected. Like, people leave reviews for businesses. Like people leave reviews for Greyhound. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I don't even wear my seatbelt on a Greyhound.
Is there a seatbelt?
It doesn't even prevent the most common Greyhound accident, which is your whole life leading up to being on a Greyhound.
It's good. I approve.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. It's so great to have you. You did mention you lived in this village, because we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
But you raised your son is native, you said. Native American.
Yeah, Native Alaskan.
Native Alaskan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not American.
Depends on who you ask. It was
super fair.
The United States didn't have federally recognized tribes in the state of Alaska until 1991, I believe it was, because they bought Alaska. Alaska became a state in 1959, and at the time, that was when the reservations down in the lower 48, as we refer to the continental U.S. up in Alaska. And like in California, they have all these casinos, and they're making all this money because they're sovereign land and they don't have to give the taxes, right, to the U.S. And the U.S. government was like, we fucked up. So we're just going to make it so there's no natives. They're just Alaskan. They're brown. They speak another language. They have their own culture, but they were like, nope, no natives here. And it wasn't until they fought for the right to be federally recognized as tribes. But anyway, I digress. A native
Wait, so
Alaskan.
who wasn't getting taxed? The Californians?
So that's the thing about native casinos is that they're sovereign. So they get to keep all their money. So they don't, like on reservations, when a casino is on a reservation, it's different tax rules.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you want to be recognized.
Well, you want to be recognized just for the same reason anybody wants to be recognized. You don't want to be told that your ancient tribe and your lineage, your whole culture doesn't exist and that you're just Alaskan. But it is interesting that, if you, on all the things that you fill out your ethnicity, there's always a differentiation between Native American, Native Alaskan.
You learn something new every day.
Indigenous is the
that's what. Yeah, that's why I was afraid to
So yes,
say the
my
wrong
son is
thing.
indigenous, part of the Gwich'in tribe. Gwich'in, it's GWICH glottal IN, which is the largest Athabascan tribe in Alaska. And Athabascan is also like related to the Navajo.
Okay. I know
so
Navajo
so I can actually speak to Navajo people. Like if I'm speaking Gwich'in, they can understand me a little. And
so there's a lot of Navajo people in Arizona, right?
Yeah, Arizona and New Mexico for sure.
There we go. I'm a zonie myself. Our second situation today, AITA for letting people know I was the only one in my department not invited to a coworker's wedding. But first, we're going to talk about, please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 200 plus bonus episodes, every single episode ad-free. Here's our first hitch, folks. AITA for lying about Native American history.
Ooh.
I have a coworker I'm pretty good friends with, Sarah, who's part Native American and part of the Nakota tribe. She's recognized by her tribe, but not very active. Her father is Native American, but they're now estranged. She grew up in the tribe with their traditions, but is not living on the reservation anymore. She doesn't talk about her heritage often with her son. Our sons are the same age, and her son Sam comes over at least every other weekend. He came over last Monday and stayed for my family's family home evening, that's capitalized. We are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormon. And during that time, he asked what the Book of Mormon was. I let him know that it talked about Jesus' time in the Americas. And focused on the
He took a canoe here, I think.
Yeah, on the first two Native American tribes, the Nephites and the Lamanites. He thought this was very cool and asked to borrow a copy because he wanted to learn more about his heritage. Last Friday at work, Sarah was very angry with me, accusing me of lying to her son about what the Book of Mormon contained, said I had no right as trying to pass it off as Native American history, and said Sam wouldn't be allowed at my house any longer. Now word has gotten around the office about what's happened, and everyone has been avoiding me, and someone went as far as openly mocking my religion at work. I don't think I did anything wrong here. Sam asked me about the Book of Mormon. I answered it as truthfully as I could. AITA for answering her son's questions.
Do they openly mock her religion at work or on Broadway? I think it's really irrelevant. I mean, there's a lot of things I take beef with. And
that was a musical joke, right?
Yes, it was.
Got it. Okay.
Asadiga Iboe. It's a great musical if you haven't seen it.
I have seen it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think it's the first thing I take offense
Here we go.
of is that she finds it necessary to mention that she's not living on the reservation and that her father left and that she, is estranged from her tribe. Like any of that's relevant at all. The kid's mom. Like that's ridiculous. The whole beginning, her father left, all the stuff. What was that?
I'll meet you. I'm with you. She's picture painting. She's trying to create a sort of vibe where this is going to justify her, the fact that there's an estrangement. Not relevant. Not relevant.
None of that is relevant. It doesn't matter if she lives on the reservation. It doesn't matter if she knows anything about her tribe at all. This is a woman who's giving a little Native child the Book of Mormon and saying this is Native American history.
Well, what did she say?
I mean, I think that
she said, What did she say?
That this is when Jesus was on America's.
I let him know that it talked about Jesus' time in the Americas.
Yeah.
And focus on the first 2 Native American tribes.
I think she's just ignorant. You know, I mean,
that's
I think
what she really believes, Kona.
well, that's what I mean. Is
this
that okay?
Is Jesus' time in the Americas, which isn't funny, and I shouldn't have laughed because that is something that people actually believe that Jesus was here in America.
America, yeah, for sure, America. I think that the issue is it's not something people should be mad at her for. It's something they should either educate her or pat her on her head and say, you understand this differently. Like she's understanding it. I think she is earnestly believing that there is some Native American history in the Book of Mormon because Jesus hung out with early American tribes.
Yes.
So it goes back to it's the question of intention, right? Like I think her intention is.
There is an earnestness here. I think. Yeah, I think that's where I'm struggling. I mean, we are going to butt up on a phrase I like to say, which is reality is real. And you can't, let's just go to maybe a different place just to de-religious this. If her son comes over and he's the son of a, astronomer, and she's talking about the earth is flat, we're going to make fun of her, pat her on the head. I like what you said. But I guess my question is, and where I'm struggling here is I'm like, look, to me, it's laughable. These are laughable beliefs. If I don't have a child, but maybe you can tell me, but I'm imagining that if I had a child, I'd be like, yeah, and that's what she believes. And, it's frankly, in my view, it's ridiculous. But if you want to read the Book of Mormon, you're welcome to read it. It's there, it's their book, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I guess for me, the anger and the sort of information control of this, I'm kind of like, why can't the mom just say like, yeah, and she's a kook. I think she's a kook.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with it. And nobody agrees with it. It's a very insular belief system. It's not historical. It's not backed up. It's laughable. Why the anger? I don't know. Am I wrong?
I think a lot of people prefer getting mad to talking to their children. It does seem like there's an element of that. Like, yeah. I mean, when you could just have a conversation with your kid, like when my child, when he was 5 years old, woke me up one morning and said, "Mommy, who made everything? Who made the trees and the stars and people and everything?" I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to start with what is a theory? And I explained what theories are to start. And then we went through many different creation stories, including evolution.
Sure.
And at the end, my child was like, that one makes the most sense. And my ultimate thing was like, but ultimately you have to, that's why it was called the ultimate thing. Cause it was ultimately. Just going to keep saying that word till
I like it. Ultimately.
It goes from being awkward to not awkward. That you have to accept not knowing.
Sure.
And it was just like, but it was more of a philosophical approach, right?
Yeah.
Like I think what you're saying is true, that it's also problematic that she's, instead of explaining and talking to the kid and saying, well, this is one church's belief that Jesus canoed across the Atlantic to meet some old Native Americans. That's not factual in the rest of the world's history books.
Right.
So probably take that one with a grain of salt, kid. Like there could have just been a conversation around it rather than mad. But I also think that when your kid comes back from somebody's house with a Bible of some kind, the assumption is that the parent's trying to indoctrinate your child. I think that's fair too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm trying to think like if it happened repeatedly. I don't know. I guess I'm big on autonomy and respecting the autonomy of a kid. I'm like, if the kid wants to learn about it, let them learn about it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think of like lines I might draw as like if basically this family was like, first they're putting out the Book of Mormon, and then the kid, I want to go to Mormon summer camp. Mm-hmm. And I might start to feel like, I'm not really comfortable letting you be surrounded with this religion. I don't know these people. Like, I don't know. Would you draw a line like that?
I mean, my kid had like his best friend growing up was part of a super Christian family, but they were also like very kind Christians, the way that Christians maybe are supposed to be, where it's help one another.
We don't do that anymore now.
Yeah. But I also never felt, I mean, it's the same way that I've felt about religions, where I'm like, I don't feel threatened.
Yeah.
Like I've invited Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses into basically every place I've ever lived, to be like, I mean, not always,
You'll
but
let 'em come
when
in?
I have time, and I'll be like, you have 2 minutes,
Oh, you give 'em 2
convince
minutes.
me, or I'll give
You
them
don't even give them off.
maybe 5 minutes, maybe five,
You're
maybe
like,
I'm
light
off.
at 5, you're
I'm like,
off at 6.
I give you 5. I mean, 5's a lot.
5's a lot.
I'd give the light at 4, but just like I'm not threatened. I like that personally. I like that approach, and I use that approach with my kid too. Is that like you have all the information and the logic, and like let's talk to you I mean, I think one of the problems is that people don't talk to kids like they understand. They talk at kids, or they think that they're like they don't realize that kids are listening and picking up on the nuances and all these little things.
Yeah.
And what might happen is the pulling away from the book might make the kid even more curious, might make the kid rebel and want to become a Mormon even more, because now they're not allowed to read about it.
It's the proverbial Catholic kids are perverts.
Yeah, totally. It's sexy. The thing that's kept from you is always going to be sexier. Especially as a child. So I would give both of the parents advice there. But I think that the lady, I mean, it's a dick move. Like I said, she's justifying it in all this way I hate what she comes out and says in the beginning about this lady doesn't live on the reservation anymore. None of that's relevant. The real question is does she want to convert this kid? And is she conscious that she's using his Native American heritage to try to persuade him to be interested in the Book of Mormon? Is she aware of that, or is she just ignorant?
I think, yeah, exactly. I think she is ignorant, obviously, but I think where I'm going is I'm thinking like, all right, well, what if let's just change a couple of variables here, where it's like, what if this is someone, pushing like the denial of a horror, right? Like an easy one. I don't think this is a thing, but like slavery denial or something like that. Like that just so happens, right, to be part of their belief system. And I'm like, yeah, and like that's fucked up. Like that's inherently fucked up. Like fine that those are her beliefs, but you've got to have some consciousness about how your beliefs are going to interact with other people's beliefs. And like that's it. You're the lady who believes in this fringe kind of religion, and if you're going to believe in a fringe religion, that's your right, and it's not, I don't inherently have a problem with it, but I think if part of that fringe is basically saying everyone's history is wrong, I am like, that is kind of a line cross for me.
I mean, I agree completely, and I do think that you brought up a bigger or an important issue that you also need to just trust your kid and talk to your kid, and like ultimately she needs to tell her son, have her son be armed with information and rationality and ability to have a bullshit detector.
I think so. I think the title is AITA for lying about Native American history. And I'm ready to say that this is not lying. She believes that it's true, and that's okay. You're allowed to believe in your cockamamie craziness. I could even defend it a little harder. I think, you're being a little mean by saying it's Jesus crossing with a canoe because Jesus could walk on water. So he might have just ran. He might have ran right on over here. That's not as ridiculous. Speed run, a little marathon. But, and could he hang out on water? Could he sleep on water? Take a nap? I don't know.
It's a long run.
Well, yeah, I mean, he must have taken a break. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
and then can he choose to swim sometimes? Is he just stinky the whole time?
That would be interesting. Jesus actually can't swim because he can't go in the water.
Yeah. Like is it a choice? That would be sad. I also love swimming. Sad.
Yeah,
so I think
to swim, huh?
Did Jesus never get a free
feel bad
free
for him,
stroke?
To never do breaststroke. It's a deprivation.
That would be really sad.
But no, that my issue is if you're gonna believe in fringy wild stuff, I think you do need to be a little. You need it. It's not like teaching someone about Catholicism is like also the Hindenburg didn't happen, right? Like that would be trivial, I suppose. But whatever. It's like it doesn't come with it, so it's okay, I think, to give the book or whatever. It's weird, but
I don't think you should give somebody else's kid a religious text. Probably not.
Is that an obvious boundary cross?
Probably you shouldn't do that. And it does sound a little bit like white savior stuff to me, where she's like, I have to save, like this. I don't like the shit talking she did in the beginning about, well, she's estranged from her tribe and all this, which she doesn't even know.
That was fucked up.
But then to be like, so I'm going to come and give him some moral guidance with this book. Like it seems a little white savory to me in a way that's extra cringy. But here's a question. She wrote the title, the Am I an Asshole for
lying about Native American history.
So she's saying lying. We didn't put that in her mouth.
Well, she said quote unquote lying.
Oh, quote unquote lying.
I think we agree nonetheless. I think this was irresponsible. I think it was a boundary cross. I do think, and this is a young kid, right? Do we hear how old the kid was?
I don't think we know.
They said
same
age
as her son.
I mean, at a certain point, I start to soften, but I'm like, this sounds like a child, But I do think it's. I think lines are crossed. AITA for lying about Native American history. I actually am at yes. You're the asshole.
Yeah, I would say she's the asshole, but I would also say she can have a conversation with her son and doesn't have to be a threat.
Absolutely. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. 200 plus bonus episodes, every single episode ad-free. Listen on Spotify. AITA for letting people know I was the only one in my department not invited to a coworker's wedding. So a woman in my department got married. Everyone in the department, 10 excluding the bride, was invited except for me. I was personally told the wedding was being kept small as they didn't want to spend extravagantly. The others were told I couldn't attend. At a department meeting following the wedding when the bride was back from the honeymoon, everyone was talking about the wedding. A coworker commented it was a shame I couldn't attend. I remarked that I wasn't even invited. I could see the bride's face visibly change, and now she's mad at me. And our working relationship is cordial at best. To further this, our department had a dinner and celebration for her, and I contributed to the gift. The date was selected and changed based on others' availability, but I couldn't attend due to a trip overseas I had planned last year. It wasn't even discussed if it could be changed so I could attend. The person organizing it was another coworker and her best friend. I think this other coworker and not the bride herself is the one behind my exclusion for some reason, unbeknownst to me. AITA for clarifying I was never even invited in front of the whole department that was told I couldn't attend.
Yeah, I think that I think she has every right to say the truth there. That seems like a truth. But it's the dinner that she couldn't attend, right? So the wedding she wasn't invited to, and then the dinner that she donated or chipped in on, she couldn't attend that. Is that right? Am I right? It wasn't her trip to Europe that conflicted with the wedding.
I got confused about it. To further this, our department had a dinner in celebration for her, and I contributed to the gift. The date was selected and changed based on others' availability. Yeah, so she couldn't make the dinner.
All right. Well, we don't care. I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care that she couldn't make the dinner. Irrelevant. As an editor, I would delete this part. That. Yeah,
I should have.
You should let me edit these before you.
Yeah, this was.
This is more raw this way. I like it.
This was an error on my behalf. How embarrassing.
But no, I mean, if somebody asks why you weren't at the wedding, and I wasn't invited, I think it's a reasonable thing to say. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, I'm kind of by the rules of like. If it's the truth, reporting is almost always legal. I'm like, yeah, I'm reporting. I'm not putting any spin on it. I'm just like, I wasn't invited. That's a fact, as incontrovertible. I feel like that's clean.
I don't think she needed to withhold that information to keep the bride's face from changing.
No, it's ridiculous. and then the bride face is visibly changed, and now she's mad at me. I don't know. That's feeling. I'm like, so I don't owe you. What? How am I supposed to know? I'm playing in this strange game.
And then Bridezilla gets the whole department against her. Didn't it say that she's not there? People are talking shit on her. Nobody's talking about her or to her anymore. Like she's having difficulty in the department now or something.
No. I don't think she said that. I think you're confusing that with the last one.
All right.
I think we do need to have you edit these.
I will. Okay. Well, no, I think Bridezilla needs to just own up to the fact that she didn't want her at her wedding, and that's fact.
Exclusion has come up a few times recently, and I guess I do feel we were talking about a kid, excluding a kid in a classroom. If there's like 20 kids and you exclude one, kind of let that is asshole-ish. You can't just exclude one kid, but if you exclude 10 kids, that's okay. If there's like 20 kids and you invite 10, that's okay. What do you make of stuff like that?
It reminds me of one of my most traumatic memories in my childhood.
Hell yeah.
When somebody in my 3rd grade class was having the first ever co-ed boys and girls birthday party.
Okay.
And her mom wouldn't let her invite everyone save for the 2 big nerds in the class. And I was one of them.
You were a little nerdy girl.
I was Conan the librarian. Speaking of libraries.
That's good though.
Yeah.
They got you.
It was Weird Al. It's UHF. That was the character. I'm pretty sure that's where they got it. But I read a lot and I had giant glasses that were like owl eyes. And that was all you needed in the late 80s, early 90s to be a nerd. It was just big old glasses. Yeah.
Wow.
But so I went and we played, and because I was invited, because she wasn't allowed to not invite me. And we played Spin the Bottle.
Wait, you were invited?
I was, because she wasn't allowed to not invite me. The boy nerd was smart enough not to come, but I went.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was a really traumatic experience. I kind of wish I wasn't invited.
Oh, the actual going was the trauma.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you went and they were mean to you?
Well, no, so it was Spin the Bottle.
Okay.
But then when it landed on me, the boy didn't want to kiss me.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Just because you were nerdy?
Said I'm not going to kiss Conan the librarian. Yeah. And then 2 years later, I got my glasses taken off and my life turned into a 90s movie. All these cheerleaders marched up to me and said, "Oh my God, Kona, you're actually pretty." It was the only difference. Same hair, same clothes.
Really?
Yeah. And then the
glasses blinded.
Turned me into a cheerleader.
That's crazy.
I was a cheerleader in junior high. I've lived many lives.
What a pivot.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm saying that it was a traumatic experience when somebody's going to be invited, but then they're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good thing. I don't know what would have been harder for me to not been. I think that I would have rather not been invited at all.
Just because the boy didn't kiss you?
It was awful.
Because everybody was watching?
Well, yeah, it was Spin the Bottle. And it was like, oh no, I'm not going to kiss her. And then he started leaving. And then his sister actually forced him to come back. And then instead of kissing me, he headbutted me.
Oh no.
Like a black guy.
Oh, he headbutted you hard?
It was hard enough.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was not a good experience.
I'm sorry that we had to
would
go
she
there.
have rather went to the wedding and been headbutted?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really headbutting is pretty far from kissing, but I believe you and everything. It's just so weird. A coworker the conspiracy theory is that, I could see, what did they say? To further this, that they had the dinner. The person organizing it was another coworker and her best friend. I think this other coworker, not the bride herself, is the one behind the exclusion. So it seems like there's something else going on.
Yeah.
This went info. That was the top comment, which means no, but they couldn't settle on a verdict. I am starting to think, though, unless you got a damn good reason, I think anytime you exclude just one person. I mean, look, what I think what we're talking about is, Spin the Bottle is tough. I'm like, look, you got headbutted. Is the headbutting what sent this to another level? If you hadn't headbutt you, would it be your trauma?
I think it's the being the one spin that didn't go well.
Everybody else kissed well.
Everybody else spin, kiss, spin, kiss, spin. Oh, I'm not kissing Conan the librarian. Yeah. I'm not.
So weren't there other weird kids? I mean, that's so weird.
I don't know. It was just, the glasses were like the sign of the devil.
Glasses?
They were big, gross, like ugly glasses. But I don't know.
Couldn't see anything. Are you blind?
No, I'm farsighted. My eye doctor took my glasses off and said your eyes will get better without. I know it's strange, but to bring it back, I think that whatever, office drama, I don't think it's wrong of her to say, well, and it wasn't like she just said it like, I wasn't invited. Somebody asked, oh, too bad you couldn't come. Well, I wasn't invited. I don't think there's anything wrong saying that. And I don't think the bride made a choice and now she has to live with it. That's just the truth.
I'm with you. AITA for letting people know I was the only one in my department not invited to coworker's wedding. I think we agree. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Yeah.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Please join 200 bonus episodes, every single episode ad free. It's a ton of fun. $5 a month. Do it. All right, we're going to wrap things up here on this rather silly one. AITA for not acting happy when my wife saw me on our morning commute. So I, 31M, was driving to work this morning and I'm getting close to my exit. I'm driving along in the middle lane past the slower car in the right lane. I'm about to switch lanes when the car in the right lane suddenly speeds up, blocking my access to that lane. Automatically, I'm annoyed and I look over to see what the hell is wrong with that driver. Turns out it's my wife. 30F, and she's smiling and waving, happy to see me on her way to work. I don't wave back or smile. Keep in mind, I'm already annoyed at the driver speeding up to block my way, trying to make my exit and caught by surprise to see wife. Wife then sends me a message when she gets to work saying she was sad I didn't wave back, but I figured she was joking and forgot about it. Later tonight, she brought it up and we ended up having a mini argument. Turns out her feelings were hurt by me not acting happy to see her. From my point of view, I was annoyed because I could have missed my exit or worse, got in an accident. I just don't think the freeway at 7 a.m. is the place to do that. From her point of view, she was trying to make a connection and show love, and I didn't reciprocate. AITA for not waving back to my wife on the freeway when I was trying to change lanes and make my exit.
So did she speed up, slow down in order because she knew it was her husband? We don't know, right?
Yeah, she did.
So that was why she was.
That's my interpretation. I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
I mean, then in that case, I'm trying to relate. Anytime you don't wave back at your wife, who's being sweet and waving, it's kind of a dick move.
To your wife,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of something that happened to me twice, which was I ran into friends, not close friends, like people I knew, really, like comedians that I knew, basically, on the train in the morning. Now, I have very simple morning policy. It's before coffee and after coffee. Mm-hmm. Generally, though, I'm willing to have a conversation in the morning. I'm not fun before I've had my coffee. It's not a good place to be. But yeah, I remember one of them was just kind of giving me don't fucking talk to me body language, and so I didn't. And then the other person, I was like, oh shit. I feel like I'm tortured. I don't know if I'm being an asshole by forcing them to have a conversation. I don't know. How would you feel? Early morning run in.
I mean, I appreciate people who don't feel the need to be phony, who don't feel the need to say the small talk just because. I tend to. Most of my friends are people that just go deep or say how they're feeling. I would rather somebody be like, not now,
Are you having a combo in the morning though?
I'm not a big coffee drinker, so I'm perfectly cheerful.
You're just ready to go.
I mean, for the most part, I like to have some time to myself in the morning, but I don't have the don't talk to me before coffee.
Wow.
Thing.
You're not better than us. Okay. You might have an addiction, but you're not. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, you're kind of saying though, you do like that morning time. I don't know. I guess for me, I do. yeah, I guess, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, look, I think it's sweet. I think she's a sweet lady, but I am like, it is a little bit frustrating to me where it's like, and we've covered this before because some people are like this. Some people wake up and they're like, hi, babe.
Yeah, it's annoying.
You know, and it's like some of us aren't like, we need a little, my brother's like this. You don't fuck with my brother in the morning. He's not like mad at you. It's just like, he's not on. You have to wait.
I have a lot of friends like that. But what I like more is somebody not being phony, you know? So I like that he's not like gonna put on the show. Like he's annoyed. He's going to work. He doesn't want to play fucking games on the highway. That shit's dangerous. I respect that. But I think they need to have some real conversation, you know, hopefully they're compatible enough to make it. But I think that he needs to explain that, you know, that doesn't do it for him. Like it's silly and dangerous. And, you know, she shouldn't be butthurt.
Okay. Wow. I don't know, Kona. I'm going to push back on that. I'm of the belief, like, look, I understand why her feelings are hurt. I think you always have to validate people's feelings. If I were him, I would say, babe, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Your feelings are valid. But, or maybe not but, and
yes,
the thing about it is, yes, and the thing about it is, you know, what you did was dangerous. Mm-hmm. And I was reacting to the danger of what you did. And it wasn't really a pleasant surprise to see you there because I was very angry and felt threatened, really. You know, the highway is scary.
Yeah.
And so that was the reason I reacted the way I did. I mean, shit, now that I'm saying it, I'm like, maybe he shouldn't even apologize. Did he do anything
he should
wrong?
say that. And then I think she should say, I think I was being careless. We're role playing now. It's perfect.
That's good.
We're gonna help
this
them.
is good. Okay, so this is what she's saying. She's saying I was being careless.
So this is what she should say.
This is what she should say.
You've helped me to realize that I was being careless. I thought it was playful and fun, and I just wanted to like surprise you. But I didn't realize from your perspective it would seem dangerous or that I was being an aggressive driver. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry for making you scared, you know, for pissing you off in that way, and then expecting you to want to have a cheerful exchange. So I will be more mindful in the future about the way that I surprise you. And
I will try my best to wave hi to you. I'll try my best every time. I want to wave to you. I'm happy you waved.
Great.
That's so good. Yeah. You know, I think we nailed that.
Totally.
You know, like I understand what she's going for. I get it. It is kind of a cute moment. Mm-hmm. But I'm also like, there had to have been kind of a gap, right? Otherwise it's just like, yeah, you were literally like right behind me when I left. Like, is it back? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, they must have gone separate routes. Like, please. Otherwise, I'm like, babe, like, yeah, we left at the same time. So we're on the highway at the same time. It's not a coincidence. But also, why does she recognize his car and he doesn't recognize hers? Yeah. That's kind of interesting. That's a good question. You know, maybe he drives, one of those horrible cyber trucks and she drives, something elegant. A gray Toyota. Is that's not elegant, but white Camry hybrid. Okay. I was thinking something not unique. Oh, like a wretched, like a BMW. Like a sedan or something. Just something ostentatious Mercedes Benz, one of these disgusting sort of look-see cars. Yeah. I feel you. Something that doesn't stand out. But yeah, I think it's a compatibility issue. They need to have a real look at that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. It sounds like it was a little morning run-in, and it could have been a big deal. What if it was a massive accident? And that's fair. I mean, it'd be so this is the Kant versus the John Stuart Mills, intention versus outcome. If it had caused an accident and 5-car pile up and multiple people injured or died, right? She wouldn't be mad at him for not waving. I gotta shut you down. I'm sorry. I gotta push back on you. It's not intention versus result. I think you have it wrong. It is result on John Stuart Mill's side. You're right there. Yeah. That's utilitarianism. Mm-hmm. But Kant was deontological, meaning rule based. Yeah. But the rules aren't necessarily intention driven.
No, but he did think that your intention is what was the ethics involved, right?
Well, he said, act by that maxim, which you will become a universal law. Okay.
Be the example.
Maybe you're not wrong. Yeah. Well, because so the maxim in this case might be something like, don't drive like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Don't put other people's lives at risk.
At risk.
For a cutesy little game.
Okay. Actually, no, I'm retracting.
I mean, he believed in heaven.
No, but you're right. It
Theoretical.
was intention. It is intention, because if you're acting by that maxim, which you will become universal. Yeah, that is saying that your intention would be to follow. Yeah, you're right.
Well, and that's why, I mean, in a philosophy class, that was, the question of if a kid's drowning and you jump in and save them, and if you die saving them, do you go to heaven or hell? Like, it's just a philosophical scenario.
But you actually go, as we know, to the Americas to hang out with Jesus.
Perfect.
Where he was.
Yeah, he's surfing on the water the whole way there.
He surfed. Of course he surfed. How ridiculous thing. Anyway, I think with this one, I'm actually like, look, I think this was maybe a little morning snafu. It could have been dangerous. In the end, though, I think, I don't know. I don't want to gender it up. AITA for not acting happy when my wife saw me on our morning commute. I guess I'm a little bit like, I guess I would have liked for her, rather than try to like double dip, because then, right, she's kind of playing double jeopardy. It's like, first, you didn't even fuck it. Or did she do double jeopardy? Yeah. So my wife sends me a message when she gets to work saying she was sad I didn't wave back. So I'm kind of like, I guess on her behalf, I felt like it would have been a little immature. I would have rather her have said, hey, I was reflecting on what happened and I was a little hurt that you didn't wave back, but I'm guessing it was because...
But he needs to communicate that. I think that he needs to communicate. No,
but she started the communication. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I guess on her, I'm not calling her. I think I'm ready to go no assholes here. But I guess she kind of messages him and says, I'm sad you didn't wave back. But I'm like, well, could you maybe think for a second about why I didn't wave back? And I kind of would have wanted her ideally to do that. Yeah.
I mean... It also just depends on where they're at in their relationship. Like, is this something that's happened before? Has he asked her to be more mindful, of his situation, his experience,
She's like, babe,
his
it's
perspective.
your fifth car, babe. It's your fifth fucking car. I don't know. I think I'm at no assholes here, but now I'm like, am I biased because you and I role played this playing out so well?
Yeah, it's just so easy for us.
I know. We're killing it.
Yeah, I think that I don't think he's an asshole.
Yeah, and so she sends the message saying she was sad I didn't wave back. But I figured she was joking and forgot about it. Fuck, I'm not liking that either.
I don't like that either. I think that he needed to communicate why so that she's aware. That is ultimately what needs to happen is she needs to be aware of why he didn't wave back. And if he doesn't ever communicate that and he's just like, sorry, babe. And she's like, okay, like nobody learned anything. And they're both assholes.
Let me say this. I think work mode is a thing too. People go into work mode. Some people, it depends on your job. It depends on your relationship with your job. Yeah. I don't really have work mode, but like some people, you know what I mean? They get in that.
I feel bad for people who have work mode.
I do too. They're so intense. I'm like, it's really not that serious. There's no way what you're doing is that serious.
You just wake up when you want and make your own schedule.
Oh boy. This is turning into LA, the podcast. But anyway.
I've worked.
I don't know. I don't like that he did that. I kind of am ready to ding because I'm like, so you figured she was joking? No, you didn't. That's not a joke. I'm like, sooner say that like I didn't take it that seriously. I don't like that he says that he figured she was joking. To me, that sounds defensive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's besides the point. Like he should tell her that he needs to communicate to her that she made him feel away. And instead, he's just like brushing it under the carpet saying, oh, I just thought she was joking, which makes me feel like he is an asshole.
Honestly, I think that's where I'm ending up. And then he went on Reddit and posted this. I'm kind of like on the title, AITA for not acting happy when my wife saw me on our morning commute. No, that's not your sin. Your sin is how you handled the text and then how you tried to flip it. If he had said it, worded it differently, I would, but no. She was joking? No, she wasn't fucking joking. That's not a joke anyone's ever told. for that, that's defensive and you're denying her emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And for those reasons, I think I am ultimately going YTA.
All right. I agree.
You agree?
I do. I think he can turn that around, but he needs a higher level of communication about what really was the issue and not keep it in the shallow place.
100%.
Yeah.
Kona, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for joining me.
I've very much enjoyed it as well. Thank you for having me.
Did you want to do any plugs? Can we plug you?
Sure.
You have a great website.
Oh, thank you. KonaMorris.com. I designed it myself. It was the whole thing, just so I can keep updating it.
No, it was cool because like I feel like a lot of people, I guess I like that you have a writing because I was able to just sit. You guys can read like a lot of you have like links to your fiction and then you have flash fiction just right there. Content.
Yeah,
on
and
a website.
Videos with a bunch of my storytelling shows.
So
And
cool.
The Come to Chill Vibes, Lyric Hyperion.
One of 2 storytelling mics.
In all of LA. If you're in LA,
Yeah.
1
Or fly
p.m. on Saturdays, and also the Glendale Room at 4 o'clock on Mondays. And we can work on your stories. And I'm starting a storytelling workshop where I help people to develop their stories and to tailor it for specific audiences and purposes.
So I could do that and we could tailor it towards stand-up.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Well, Kona, I'm definitely going to have you back if you'll be back. This was so fun.
Yeah,
So,
I'd love to. Anytime.
Great.
We'll bring the philosophy.
There we go. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace.